I want to talk about the decision to not be handheld, but to put this on. Did you put it on a Ronin? I know you had it on a gimbal, right?
It was a Ronin 2.
How did that decision come to be? Because I think when people think cinema verite, when they think conceptually, as I'm hearing you talk, it feels like, well, yeah, a handheld feel is what we're talking about. But you didn't do that, and I would love to know why.
I went into the main location, this apartment, with Cornell and Kata, the writer, and we did some preliminary tests on the Mini with anamorphic, sphericals, handheld, and it just felt like something we'd seen too many times before. And it's something that I really love about Cornell is he's done his fair share of sort of auteur indie, specifically European. And he always wanted this to feel different. Yeah, he'd always talked about this as being like a Bressonian type film, but rooted in melodrama. It needed language. It needed something really specific. So from the beginning, Cornell and I had talked about what's the one tool, the one thing that we can really root this film in that makes sense for the story, for the characters, for the movement. We talked about Steadicam, but that eliminated me from operating, and that was sort of out of the question. And we needed this to be, and it was so intimate that there needed to be trust between the operator and the actors in a different way. And I hired a gimbal operator or a gimbal technician and asked him to, hey, put it on. Let's have a look at it at the camera house. And he kind of just told me, Ben, I'm not comfortable doing this scene. You should just put it on. And I just essentially said, no, I have never done this. I can't do this.
You had never done it before?
No.
Wait a minute. You hadn't used a gimbal at all, or you just haven't used it in kind of a professional setting?
No, I've never used a gimbal on my body. I've used a gimbal and had other operators do it. And I've obviously seen movies that have used gimbals in ways that have intrigued my curiosity, but I'd never put it on and sort of done the movements. But I put it on, and we found a setting that felt weirdly organic. And after that test, I showed it to Cornell, and Cornell was like, "This is it, Ben." And I was like, "Are you sure this is it?" Because in my head I was like, "This is it too," but I didn't want to say it because I knew if I started day 1 with a gimbal, I would end day 29 with a gimbal, and it would be on my back. So there was a level of hesitation knowing that I hadn't prepared for this film that way. That's a different mentality and a different, a whole different strain on your body. But it felt right, and we both agreed. And essentially, I just ended up going into the camera house with my team, and I put it on for 2 minutes, took it off, put it on for 2 minutes, took it off, got to 4 minutes, took it off, repeated, got to 6, 8, 10, 12 minutes. And when we got to 12 minutes, I essentially just said, I feel comfortable doing double. So if I can do 12, I can do double. So we just put it down and we honestly didn't touch it again until birth day 1. And in between those two, we'd finally had an opportunity to do an actual blocking of the scene with Vanessa and Shaya and Molly. And I recorded this on my iPhone, walking through the space with them, sort of, figuring out what movements made sense. How can you get into this space and that space? And that one take was 38 minutes.
Wow.
And this was, I think, 2 days before the shoot. And I think after that 38-minute take, we were all like, we got this down. This is now in our brain. We know how this is going to work. We just got to shave 10 minutes off. We're going to be good. So we put it aside, and then day 1, I think we shaved 10 minutes off, but it was still a couple of minutes too long.
How many takes did you end up filming?
Of the birth, we did 6 takes. We did 4 takes on day 1 and 2 takes on day 2. And I think we realized as much as the takes themselves were getting technically better and cleaner throughout day 2, the final take on day 1, the 4th take, was by far the best performance-wise.
Now, it's just us creative filmmaker types here. We'll keep it secret. Is there an edit in that scene?
No.
It's purely just straight up 22 minutes or whatever it is.
Yep.
That's amazing. And what restraint for a director to not almost insist, like, well, I like the first part of take 3 and I like the last part of take 4. I mean, we've seen these types of shots before, cleverly edited with door frames and things like that. That's a bold choice.
And it was I will preface this by saying there's another 5-minute chunk of the scene that also is a part of the oneer up until pre water breaking and water breaking. There are now edits in that part, but that was a part of the oneer that we chopped down to essentially make sure that the oneer started as the water broke instead of pre.
Yep.